welcome everyone. We are here with the one and only Carolyn. I've been talking a lot about you on my channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're one of the most, actually, I found most accurate channelers, because I mean there are a bunch of channels out there for, divine counterparts, for the new Earth, for Ascension, but every time I tune into your energies, it's like straight to the point, and I feel like the activations are just like happen straight away. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, yeah, amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, so do you want to just share a little bit about your Ascension journey? Like, I'm curious, when did you first start hearing, like, to really pinpoint the Ascension journey and the new Earth and everything that was unfolding?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. So in 2004, basically, this whole dark night of the soul, massive karmic purging happened. I had no idea about anything spiritual, really. Like, I was on a spiritual path, I would say, but not anything like the spiritual community provides. I wasn't in there, and just knew I believed in spirit and had like an understanding there's like some more of a calling. I think that was like that deep star seed indigo knowing. But I had no idea what it was, right? I just actually felt really lost in life, I would say, and just kind of like going through the motions and not feeling very fulfilled. And so I went on a very dark and deep purge, basically, for about 4 years. And then in 2008, my Kundalini spontaneously awoke. So which put me on a new timeline, right? And through that process, I actually had no idea I was going through a Kundalini awakening. So I thought I was literally dying. I had like every kind of Kundalini syndrome going on, and a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and lost, very, very lost. And medical systems weren't able to help. There was nothing really that was giving me the answers or felt right, and every path I tried wasn't working until I found energy healing. And I found a lovely lady in my neighborhood, and she gave me an energy healing. And I was like, wow, this is making me feel better. What are you doing? Right? And she's telling me she's working my chakras and this sort of thing. And that was great. So then I started learning about chakras and how to balance my chakras. And that was giving me some sort of support. And then I hit a rock bottom moment and had a massive Kundalini syndrome experience that went on for a few weeks. And I finally found some help, and a lady that helped me through that process said, "You're going through a Kundalini awakening. Do you know what that is?" I said, "No," right? I just kind of Kundalini yoga with all I've ever really heard of. And so she said, "Yeah, this is what's going on with you." So then I researched it and saw that, yes, this is what it is, checking every box. And so that was around 2012-ish. So I was almost like 10 years in this whole scenario, basically, of not knowing anything. And then from that point, knowing what was going on, able to facilitate healing myself better. And I basically learned how to heal myself and clear karma and stuff of that nature, just through a lot of work, a lot of praying, a lot of, it really pushed me to connect directly with God's source. And so I think that was a massive turning point for me. It was like fully just broken in my bed, can't get out of bed, just nonstop crying, and just finally just surrendering it all to God, that moment. And God said, "Okay, let me take over. I will show you what this Kundalini awakening is. We're going to do it my way, the new Earth way. And this is the new trajectory." Because I was trying this Eastern style awakening, wasn't working. Everything was getting worse. All this entity attacks and just like really dark energies. It was just not supportive at all. And so then when God took over, he showed me, no, we're doing this through spirit. We're doing this through Holy Spirit. We're doing this through divine feminine. And that put me on the new trajectory and partnership with God. And God, then I began this shamanic initiation through spirit. And I started basically going through a whole 3-year initiation, trained by spirit, in the quantum field. I fought entities every day, constantly, day and night. Just lesson after lesson after lesson, did grids and did a lot in the galaxy, basically, a lot of the Star Wars and the collective stuff. So I really learned a lot about the new Earth and this new timeline, the light body, like what we're really meant to be stepping up into, and how to calibrate that within myself. And I started working with Kundalini people during those years because they kept coming to me for help. So I was taking on sessions. I started doing card readings on YouTube and got into that whole divine union template as well, and just learned all these different things basically. And yeah, then God really, by the end of my shamanic training, this God code started coming through. And so that's what really put me on another ascension timeline, basically, where we worked with the algorithms of the universe. God called it stellar math. And we're literally now coding in the quantum field, the stargates, the software system that the planet's running on, right in the firmament, basically. And so I can do that now with like a person, or with the collective, with the Most High God. So it's all in service to God, I would say. Basically, I just show up and say, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And I do that work. I provide daily and weekly support as much as I can. Yeah, just to help the collective, help serve God. It really is all in service to God. I'm showing up every day for that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have so much to ask because I know that part of the reason why I was so guided to your work is that you say you specifically say I work only with the Most High.
Yes.
And there actually when I stumbled upon your work, I was just in like deep spiritual warfare. I had no idea about the spiritual warfare at all. But basically, I was just coming out of a cult, some sort of shamanic nonsense preachers out there, and I just could not trust anyone at all. Yes. And what's funny is that, well, I enrolled in your amazing shamanic healing program that we're going to talk about later. And the funny thing is that the second day I wanted to let you know that I can't do this. Like I had so much PTSD from those experiences that I just could not trust. So you really had to like lead me through that process. And what was surprising to me is that you even mentioned like, Anna, you're not alone. Like so many others have gone through this. Oh, yeah. And can you talk a little bit about that and why? Because there's so much nonsense in the spiritual community, and how can we like? What are some signs that we can see?
I personally, my signs, I guess, red flags, what you'd say. I definitely, anyone kind of getting involved in the spiritual community, we're not taught the etiquette of the spiritual community. We're not taught how to shield and protect ourselves. Usually we come in, a lot of us spiritual light workers, we're already pretty empathetic, right? Pretty loving, codependent. There's a love and light kind of persona around the spiritual community as well. Zero discernment whatsoever. And I also had that as well. And with my Kundalini awakening, I got into Kundalini groups, and like that's where it was like the entity attacks were starting, and like all this dark Kundalini Eastern, not to say anything negative about Eastern style, but I would like to call it 3D awakening, but it's still containing a lot of duality. So I find people come into the spiritual community, they're connecting with their guides, they're connecting with energies, what they're wanting to channel, they're wanting to be the medium, but they're not discerning what is this thing that is connecting to me. And there's a ton of entities out there that will be false light, that will attach and channel. So you need to have a lot of discernment, in my opinion, even who you listen to, what I have with a lot of clients, they are scared to come with me because they've had healings with other people. And that healer siphoned their energy, created a lot of problems. They left that session where they're now depleted by their health. They're financially depleted. There's just like problem after problem after problem. I see that with spiritual leaders in the spiritual community, that all of the members, they're getting siphoned in some way or another. by following, you know, that person, by following their teachings or whatever. So you have to really learn, and that's why it's good to practice learning your own psychic gifts and working only with God. That so when your skills grow, you can tune into someone's energy, see if there's like what's running this person, what's behind this energy, and is this right for me? You know, and I'd say like probably 75% in the spiritual community are not pure source energy, unfortunately, and it's really hard to discern when you're new. So a lot of people come to me, they're scared already for the session, right? The one thing they are attracted is that I do only work with God. That's what does call them in. But a lot are like really depleted by the time we're actually starting the session. We have to do a lot of removal of those people and attachments and the entities and reverse and get their power back. It's very common as well.
Well, there's more work for us in the end, but it's
a learning lesson though.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like, how do these shapeshifters, like, are they even aware they do this? Like, do they do this on purpose, or they don't even know what they're channeling and who they're serving?
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of like, for me, a lot of the matrix entities are connected to these Egyptian entities. I find that we're working with the Ankh, and I don't want to offend anyone because it's such a hot topic, but these are the red flags for me. Anyone kind of working with those gods and goddesses and channeling that energy is generally a medium to those entities because of corruption, and that's really what the systems of the matrix have been running on, that have been keeping humanity enslaved. So then we enter into the spiritual community, and now we're thinking it's this, these are the right people, energies to be attaching to. These are the gods, these are the beings, the ascended masters, the ETs, the aliens, and you know, we just think that this is what we're supposed to do, to be mentored and guided and do that for others. But in reality, it's not. You know, these are, you know, Anunnaki reptilian entities basically here that were part of the Star Wars, unfortunately, and this slave trade that's been running through today's corrupt systems, right? So we don't want to continue, you know, working with these. The Eye of Horus is what I'm being shown right now. The eye, right? That's exactly what the systems are still. That's the sorcery. That's the spell work. Those are the grids. Those are the programs that are charging and controlling humanity, right? That's what's falling right now because that's not the fifth dimension. That's not the age of Aquarius. So it's simply a timeline shift at this point that we're in, that the more we can move away from those systems and energies and cord cut to that and move forward in this new Earth timeline, which is oneness, unity, God, source, spirit, you know, that's really unconditional love. It's high vibrational energy. So those things can't exist in that timeline of the new Earth, right? So shedding away those contracts are very, very important.
And what do you think, like, how do you think this is impacting like our work? Because I feel like so many people are going to just no longer start trusting, right? I personally also had clients wanted to work with me, but I just felt that they had so much apprehension and they were just so afraid to dive into it that they just, in the end, they did not want to go for a session. And it's just like, I can feel it, it's palpable. And especially, I want to say in the Divine Masculine Collective, I work mostly with masculine energy, and I feel this such a strong energy of like apprehension. Yeah, it's no trust.
For me, it's like I stand in my sovereign truth with God. I really, excuse me, I really remove myself. Sorry. I remove myself from the situation. Like Carolyn's gone, right? It's just like I'm showing up in service to God, and God brings the people to me, and that's just the way it is for me, right? So I find that that's been working basically. But sometimes people, it's interesting, like they'll book a session, but they won't show up to the session. So I'll still give them the session from a distance, right? Without actually talking to them and knowing what's specifically going on. But I feel like they don't show up because these things inside of them are triggered, and they don't want this, and the entities don't want to be removed from the body, right?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the core wounding. The core wounding doesn't heal because we're running on a program, right? And a lot of us are running on, this is all we've known. You know, we've got childhood trauma. We've been existing in a certain system within our own bodies and within our own mind and our own selves and consciousness. And that doesn't want to be taken out for the new system to come in very easily, right? So there can be a lot of resistance.
Stubborn.
Yeah. Stubborn. So it's not, it's like, as long as I know I'm showing up in service to God, and also it's important to earn people's trust, right? So that's another component. So that's part of where I show up daily. I show up weekly in service to God. It's just like taking my ego, myself out of it completely and just trying to be as neutral as possible. Just delivering the messages and the help. And I find that helps build the trust as well. Because I don't, it's not me, you know, it's not me. It's not that, you know, I'm just here to help.
Yeah, like of service. But it's like as we are entering into the age of Aquarius, I feel like more of these illusions are just going to be very, very, very obvious. And I think there's no longer going to be this confusion and veil. And so, yeah, it's just a work in progress.
Yes.
I was just very curious if you can speak a little bit more about the spiritual warfare, because I feel like until I met your work, I was just like bearing it in a way. Like I knew life was not supposed to be that hard, but it's just like the minute I understood that. And it's funny because like our first session, you mentioned the identity of how did you call it? Like raspberry warrior or something like that. And from that moment I'm like, okay, so I'm a spiritual warrior. I know why I came here. And then everything shifted from that point forward. But how would you like, who's at the core of this spiritual warfare?
It's the devil, basically. It's always the C point, like it's such a dual energy, but underlying it is the devil. With that, like there's a feminine and masculine form of God, I'd say, and a feminine masculine form of the devil. So that there's a dark feminine energy, a Jezebel type of entity, and then there's that dark masculine energy, which I just call the devil, basically. And ultimately, like if we look at the chosen, you know, the chosen are always under attack. The chosen are always under the 144,000. And it's a system I'm breaking, like with God. I'm done with this program of like, we're always alone. We're always isolated. The family always turns on us. We're always the black sheep. It's because we're chosen. You know, it's like, if we're the chosen ones, if we're the royal ones, the royal bloodline, yes, that's why we are attacked. The devil wants to be in charge, right? But we're also meant to birth this new earth timeline. We are meant to be the leaders, right? And of Christ consciousness, lead by example, right? And have our ascension. So basically, we are the second coming of Christ. It's through our own light body. It's through our own physical ascension. These entities are basically coming in to stop that progress within us. But if we look at this as we came here for this as light workers, starseeds, right? We incarnated into the family that we did. We plopped right down in the worst country, the worst family, the worst karma, the worst trauma to clear all of this out, end this cycle, right? For putting an end to the karmic loop, the patterns, the generational stuff, whatever it is, for this rebirth cycle that we're actually presently in right now, right? So I just feel like it's an attack. It is a spiritual warfare. The devil doesn't want us to progress. So the more you choose God and not stay on the fence, you know, like a little devil, a little God, you know, I'm going to go back and forth. As soon as you really commit to serving God and your awakening, you're going to get attacked even more. That's the way I've noticed it to happen, right? You wonder why certain people don't get attacked. I think it's because they're not, either A, they're not meant to have that spiritual warfare. They're not a spiritual warrior. That's not part of their plan, which is totally fine, right? We all have a different role here. But also, maybe they're just in service to the devil in duality. And they're a soldier to the devil. So, of course, they're not going to get attacked, right?
And so the 144,000, it's, in my understanding, we are the first wave, right? We are the wayshowers.
Yeah.
How do you see, by the way, I think you mentioned once that it's not exactly the number, 144,000. Do you have any idea slightly how many?
Oh, I think there's hundreds of thousands of us. And I think the more we're on this new trajectory, the more that are waking up now.
And how do you think like the next waves are going to, because their awakening is going, like their process and journey is going to be slightly different than us.
Yeah.
Do you know when it's like, is there a timeline for the next waves?
We had, like in 2020, a huge second wave opened up, right? First, basically. So those now are these truthers. They're the ones kind of trying to wake up the collective again, right? And bringing the truth, kind of going against the system. They're the ones that have woken up since 2020, basically. And now they're seeing the duality and all the stuff going on in the systems and stuff like that. So they have a role, basically. They haven't really hit that ascension timeline of the physical metamorphosis, the spiritual component, I'd say, but they're more of like the ground crew warriors, where they're just trying to wake up their community, their family, and maybe be on social media trying to wake up. They start YouTube channels. Like there's a lot of that kind of energy that's just really a whole wave that's birthed of those, I call them truthers, where the people that started like 2012 kind of timeline, 2012 on, were more of that light body, spiritual awakening component, ascension, right? On the ascension.
And a lot of our ascension was around, well, inner union, right? The core wound of separation, and this whole Piscean age journey, which I kind of feel like we're like really getting towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Like what's next, let's say from 2025 for us, for our wave?
I definitely keep hearing the light body, like the inner merger is really complete at this point. The whole transitioning into a light being, this rainbow body. So I'm interested, I'm hearing it's really done. In my one-on-one sessions, really what we've been doing the past year, especially the past few months, I'd say since the spring equinox, moving people through that doorway to the 5D and really closing that door behind them. So they're already really at the end of closing a lot of things, karma, whatever these things are, to be on this new timeline. So it's just like literally crossing them over that rainbow bridge, but we're at the end of that now is what it is. There's not much to do anymore in the Piscean age. And then just expanding now from this new age of Aquarius into the light body, the 5D body, right? Tree of life container. So we're there right now. I think the next 3 months are going to be huge for it. I think by the end of September, I'm interested. I'm hearing it's already done. I'm like, well, where there's I don't see any difference, God. What's going on here? So I wish I could say what it's going to physically manifest looking as, but
that's what I wanted to ask. Like, how do you see physically, tangibly the Earth split happening? Like, how are we perceiving it?
I think it's going to be in the consciousness the most. So really ascended out of the fears, the duality, the reptilian brain into unconditional love, and creating from that 0 point. So really just through manifesting, through the law of attraction, through being a master creator from our own place of inner union, we're in the state of unconditional love and oneness. Now we're creating everything from that state, right? So if you're at that place where, like I would say, like right now, eclipse season might be really another huge purge again, all the fears, all the PTSD, all of the, trauma things surfacing, which happens with every time we have the solar flares, and the Schumann blast and the geomagnetic storms and stuff. This is what it's doing. It's like pushing all of these subconscious things up and out, right? So as soon as we can get to the end of that and not be affected by that nervous system response or have that in us any longer. I think that's the new equation basically that is in the new Earth timeline. So I feel like it all starts with the consciousness and being creators, like being friends, creator being, right? And with God. So then we're creating a new timeline, a new life.
Exactly. I wanted to ask about the life force energy, the creative energy, because it's just one topic that I'm just so passionate about, just creativity. Which are the main systems and like how I don't even know how to ask this question, because I feel like it's just so, like, I want to go in depth with this. Because for me personally, I feel like I have had just a very, very creative energy from a young age. I was just, writing poems. I was just very, very young. And all of a sudden, I just completely disconnected from it until I've done a lot of healing. And right now, everything is coming back. But it's like, when exactly did we disconnect from it? And what are the systems that are siphoning from us?
So basically, it's our sacral chakra, right? And womb chakra area that we're creating from. So this dark feminine energy entity things, basically they attach to the sacral chakra and siphon that energy off of us. So that's really what's been happening in the Piscean age. And if we have any sexual trauma, addictions, partners you're with sexually, just pornography, like engaging in that life force energy elsewhere, then we're just giving that away and courting in with the wrong energies. And so in childhood, basically when you're, kind of reversing a little bit. Sorry. Also, when you're that divine feminine Christ, so you're that feminine equation of God, you've come here as that chosen one, you already have that blueprint of creation. Well, then you're always going to get attacked for that and either tricked into giving it away, or energies just coming in to take it, right? Thinking it's theirs to have, right? And so they can create chaos in your life, any sort of stress, trauma, instability, like things like financial worries, survival stuff, right? And they can create a lot more challenges. You can have faux friends, you can have, backstabbers, all these things. They come in, they attach to that energy, and then they just destroy it and take it, right? So usually through some sort of emotional or feminine trauma. So it can start from childhood. You can always have been attacked for that because you're the divine feminine Christ, you're that creator. So maybe girls, you're never be able to be a girl's girl. Girls always picked on you growing up, for example. Like you're always like, why? So confused. You just live your life, and women are always attacking you, bullying you, stuff like that. Then you've got maybe the opposite sex always like pursuing you sexually, or sexualizing you, for example, right? Or gaslighting, tricking you, leaving, like all of that sort of thing, and then sexually as well. So there's so many different ways that we can let an energy in because we're empathetic, we're loving, we're caring. We are tricked into thinking this is a new friend or a new job or a new lover, and it just turns out that they're coming in to take that energy from us. So when we're depleted and in survival mode, we can't even obviously create, right? Last thing worth doing or thinking about is like pleasure and self-care, right? And something fun, where we're creative, right? We're just stuck surviving, but I'm worried. So it's all connected to that sacral chakra area. And then of course addictions deplete you. These are areas that you need to look at within yourself, like where are you stagnating your own growth and creation. We need the masculine and feminine to create with, though, to birth. So it goes the same way with the solar plexus and giving away your power. And you can have the same kind of trauma from the masculine component as well, in a different way that takes your confidence, your willpower, your drive, your motivation, the execution of the creations that you're doing. So there's different ways that this can deplete us. And it's always with my clients, one or the other, or both. But when in a session, it'll be more one, either the masculine or the feminine. We're clearing that energy and then getting their power back, or getting their feminine energy power back. It's all both power from two different perspectives, the masculine and feminine. So we need it back to have that chi energy to create with. It's our kundalini as well, right? So
Yeah.
our whole ascension, we need that full inner merger. I'm sure you talk about that inner union.
Absolutely. Well, I was just feeling so much pain in my heart space for this question. I feel like it's going to resonate for many. It's just so many layers, right? So many layers. And we don't even realize just how much, like, I think we've been operating at like 0.1% at all of our capacities, right?
In survival.
In survival. And I feel like there are even gifts. Like, what do you think about there are gifts that, I mean, okay, psychic abilities, clairvoyance, healing abilities, but there are some that we are not even consciously aware of at the moment that are just going to start coming back, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Do you have any example, or do you?
I feel like they're more going to be our ancient gifts, our star origin gifts, so a lot more galactic gifts. If we look at the Aquarian age, it's going to be a lot around kind of that technical communication kind of energy. So maybe more telepathic communication, reading the energies. I think it's going to be able to come clear. Maybe working, like harnessing the actual energy. You don't see it, but you feel it or you sense it and know it, harnessing that energy, alchemizing it into something new, right? And so it's really all energy. Alchemy is going to be it, basically. Creation energy is it. But it's got to come through the Christ consciousness field. So that's, I think, where, the human elect is what I'm hearing. So we're at this stage. The first wave, the consciousness of awakening is going to happen. So the Aquarian age of 5D is supporting that. What are we creating? It all starts in the mind, right? So creating from Christ consciousness, not the reptilian fear brain, right? Not duality.
Yeah, like we've been clearing the vessels for the energy to come through. When was the first time that the divine feminine codes from Andromeda, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Came.
For me, it was about 2018, 2017, and it was coming into the star seeds first, is when the ground crew on the earth here. To receive. So this dark feminine energy, there's like this huge spiritual war in Andromeda because she was holding back this sacred feminine. It's this God version of the feminine. I call it spirit, the rose energy. To me, it was shown like this queen bee and this honeycomb and the beehive and this creation energy, and we're all one in it, right? And so this dark feminine energy was like blocking that frequency from coming to the earth and grounding in. So we had to clear that entity there, and then it was able to come and start grounding into the star seeds here on the earth and into the grid system. So that was happening. Then we had 2019 was a big one for getting it onto the earth and grounding it in through the grid lines. And it's just been progressively waking up. It's really big for those codes.
Okay. Why do you think, by the way, what's your point on religion?
Not a fan. Don't think it's, I think it separates us from God. I was actually hearing this before we got on our call to say, was like, I understand the community component, the going to church to get that coaching or, that mentorship weekly, whatever that provides, and that community environment. But we're the church, like our body is the vessel of God. God says don't worship any statue. Like there's that's idolatry. That's like not the right way to go about it. So you don't need to go to church for sure. You just need to talk to God every day. Go to bed at night. This is my favorite time. Just go to bed at night and start talking to God. If you wake up in the middle of the night, talk to God. Like, how you fall asleep, right? This is your communion time with God, basically, right? And of course, during the day, whenever you can, but you don't need, I think religion basically separates us. Obviously, it causes wars, it causes division. It's like more duality, creates massive chaos on the earth. So,
how do you think we're going to start like deprogramming humanity from that? Because it's like so ingrained, right, in their psyche.
I think the way everything's collapsing is to see the very worst of it and choose oneness, right? Like no more separation. So at some point we're going to say like, enough choosing this side, enough choosing that side. Like I don't care anymore. You know, I'm not that, I'm team God now, like enough, right? We're all one. And so that's the progress. So it's going to just get worse before it gets better. So that's why our way, we have to hold the light, hold the line. Continue ascension. Yes, continue to ascend to the energetic component, the light body. Keep focusing our own selves and our own lives, and not get involved in the chaos, which is hard, depending, especially where you live, right, in your family. But that's the best way we can hold space. So there's chaos over here, we can stop calm and stable over here, and we don't have to feel guilty for not getting engaged in taking a side, because there needs to be balance in the world.
That's so huge what you just said, because like I wanted to ask about the divine feminine. Why was she purposely hidden from like the Bible, all that story, or is it that Jesus wanted to protect her? Like what's your version of the story?
Well, definitely there's manuscripts that have been removed from the Bible, right? So there are. Oh yes. And there's papyruses that have been found that show Jesus and Mary Magdalene were married. There is a group of people that have been understanding that they both carried on in life. I believe they did have a beautiful family that has grown. There is a bloodline lineage from them. Jesus didn't die on the cross. Like, I think it's a lot of, I feel like the Bible's about Kundalini awakening. And the majority of it is in parables, and we need to kind of understand the words that are written and so what I did was, when I did all this galactic work, and all of a sudden God's like, we're going to do the Bible. And I had no religion, blah, blah. I'm just like, what, And then I'd hear scriptures in my head, and I'd look it up. And then he would teach me, like, this is what this really means, right? So we're not taking it verbatim. So obviously these systems, religion systems that are still running today, they're the control systems, right? Of the bigger picture control system from ancient Egypt. So they want to keep, obviously, the male as the leader at this point, right? They've completely removed the divine feminine. They've turned her into that horror for some, I think these are all the ways that they reduce the feminine to being completely powerless. And where Mary Magdalene was like just as equal with Christ, Jesus Christ, I feel like they were partners, they were alchemists, they creators. She had Gnostic wisdom. That's why the disciples were jealous of her, because she had direct God source connection and was downloading the scripture as well. And they didn't like it, right? They didn't like that a woman could do this. So we're the whole goal is oneness. So we're not doing the feminine over the masculine in the new earth. In the age of Aquarius, it's oneness, it's equal partnership. Unity in that way, so we can create together, because we need both. But yeah, so part of that now has to be to bring back the divine feminine here and honor and respect her as equal and erase the program. So yeah, I just feel like it's so corrupted and backwards.
Yeah. Do you think right now, humanity, do you think is ready for like divine feminine leadership, or is it more like maybe in partnership, they're going to start accepting it more.
I think if they can embrace, well, Mother Earth herself is the feminine, right? Like there's so many Asian energy. There's so much just surviving off of the feminine just to live, right? So it could be bringing us back to the basics. I think the activation codes are definitely coming in from the Earth herself. Again, through the ley line grids and all this sort of thing are coming in galactically. So everyone's waking up to it. If men and women both need this feminine component in them to lead with in the new Earth, right, in the age of Aquarius. So it's going to be collaborative, loving, not like free of judgment, right? Supportive, intellectual, wise, Gnostic, connected to God's source, downloading the wisdom direct from God's source, and leading others in that way, creating the newer system. So it has to come from the mother. If we're going to create a new family, we need the mother. If we're going to create a new school system, we need the mother, the nurturer, no more top-down systems, career jobs. Top down is not going to work for people any longer. So the more that we rise in vibration, the more that it's not going to feel good. It's really going to give people the ick, basically. And if you want to grow, if you want to evolve, you're going to have to basically accelerate into this new age of Aquarius type of style of life, basically. Otherwise, I think it's going to hurt. Eventually, it's going to hurt at some point because you're resisting change.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, how is divine feminine leadership and masculine different? How do you think is different?
So the masculine's like the action, the follow through. The feminine's more the downloading and creating. Okay. So the masculine can't be reject. I think this is what the old system was, or even in a marriage or as a couple. The masculine would want to be the idea, the one with the idea and the executing of the idea, right? And the woman just has to agree, or the feminine, right? Agree and submit to it and just be told what to do. So that's kind of some of the challenge that needs to, with the masculine, they need to relinquish that control and be more accepting of the feminine's connection to God's source and taking the information and taking the action steps that the feminine's like, I have this idea. How can we make this into a reality, right? And when a couple can work together, like the woman can really accelerate the man to help him be better at his career, make more money, be more stable. But the masculine also have to protect the feminine, make her feel safe, give her a safe space so she can be in her creative energies, right? Not stressed out, not overwhelmed, not be the one taking on all the responsibilities in the family while the man goes to work and,
just like separate lives in a way.
Separate lives and not a team, right? So there does need to be a huge amount of adjustments, but I think there needs to be a reciprocal respect. And so we need the masculine to do the follow through and the work, but the feminine's the one that's the creator of the ideas. And she's like impregnator, right? So she's going to actually hold space, which could be a few months or even a few years till it's the time's right to execute. So she's going to be intuitive with all of that, right? And foresee the future, be the prophet, all this sort of stuff. Line the family up, or line the home or the career up for what's coming in the future. So you're prepared.
Yeah, the oracles, the visionaries.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think the masculine collective is like where are they at the moment?
Good question. We've been going through.
Where are they?
Where are they? So they're now at a point of really healing their own core woundings, abandonment. They've gone through this past year a lot of emotional recovery. So it's deep, I'd say, inner child core wounding, it's really their own feminine that they're healing at this point. Prior to that, there was like clearing the Jezebel off of them, and like just like a ton of removing them from the system. And then underneath this now has been a whole bunch of wounding that's been showing up to heal.
Because that's what it was preventing them from doing the actual healing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they're surface level, right? This Jezebel energy just kept them stuck in the matrix and that matrix mentality, and they weren't going deep at all.
That makes so much sense. Wow. My gosh, thank you so much, Carolyn, for all these beautiful insights and everything you shared. I was very curious about, because you mentioned like not all starseeds, we all came with our missions, right?
Yes.
Now, when it comes to our gifts, especially let's just say healing, for example, like how do you know if you're a healer? Is it something like you've chosen, or is it that all light workers are healers and we just need to tap into our gifts?
We're not all healers for sure. We're leaders, I'd say, in some sort of way, whether it's mentoring, coaching, guiding, building, healing, maybe being the oracle and that sort of idea, like you said as well. So basically, if we're on that healing journey, a lot of us have already gone through our own healing crisis, or we're in that now possibly as well. So it's like part of your blueprint healing. Maybe you've had health conditions, or there's family health conditions, something like that, where it's kind of a theme, where you're focusing on health and or focusing on bringing in the light body. So that could be another component of being a healer, is like you're actually the builder of this new physical container, new energetic container, and that's what you're building in the new earth, versus other people that are building other systems. So you'll know, I think by this point, you'd know and have an interest in it and want to help in that way. And then also, if you just, I think most of us are feeling like we're meant to help and serve in some sort of way, right? So as long as you start that process, get yourself out there, get the momentum building, you'll also get the feedback from what people actually want from you, caregiver maybe, right? So you don't even totally, what you kind of think can definitely evolve into something totally different, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel guided to share this because I never saw myself as like an actual healer, but what you just shared, like I know the trajectory, the path for me has always been, I was always very driven by this idea to like heal myself, heal my family. I was always doing healing for myself, but I never actually envisioned to be a healer. But when I stumbled upon your work, I'm like, okay, let's go. And what was very surprising to me is just how much fun I have healing. And it's one of the things that it's funny because whenever I connect to my gifts, I feel like I remember times in my childhood when I had, all my power and I was just very enjoying playing with energy and everything. And it's such a magical space. And it's one of the things that sometimes I hear people say, like, I'm afraid to have my gifts back. I'm afraid to see things, when it's like, it's so much fun.
Yes. Yeah. And rewarding, right? So
yeah.
I feel so good after a session. I feel so like, well, I give all praises to God always. And I just like, thank you, God, for using me. Like, thank you for this opportunity. It's so amazing, like what can happen with somebody and what you learn by working with people as well, right? And just like showing up, even if you're doing readings and stuff, you're still learning a lot about what's going on for the collective, right? For your tribe. So it's just doing the work, you'll grow your own gifts, and it's training, and everything's like such a training experience. Yeah. It's very interesting, and it is fun. I agree.
But I mean, I think I understand, because for a while they felt like a curse, because sometimes it's diagnosed as ADHD or you don't fit into the system or whatever. But it's like it took me a while to not see it as a curse, and when I actually like accepted why I'm here, and it's like, okay, I just know that I cannot walk around in the matrix right now with all my gifts back. It's like, that's the life I choose. And
yeah,
yeah,
like honestly, doing this as a career saved me. Like showing up, doing the videos, showing like this is the good thing in my life, basically, right? It is the escape from the matrix for me. It is healing for me. It's just like fulfills me, right? Like I was saying at the beginning, before I found God, before I was on, like I was just lost. I was just like lost in this existence of day to day, 9 to 5. Like, what am I doing here? There's no meaning. There's no purpose. To now, I feel extremely fulfilled by serving my mission and making an impact on the world. Like I can leave this planet feeling like I did something to assist people, right? And it's not even the feedback I get from people. Like I'm glad I get good feedback, right? And reviews. It tells me the information coming through is accurate, right? Like, so I'm not wasting people's time or my time. So it's good to know that it's, right, but according to the group that's receiving the messages. But it's just, it helps me more, more than anything. It's interesting how rewarding it is just for my soul.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And what would you say to someone who is considering this path?
I'd say just get out there and try. And it's an initiation process, the whole thing. You get tested the whole way. You're going to get, if you're in service to God, doing it in a partnership way, God will always be with you, guiding you, mentoring you, training you, protecting you. But it's a massive learning curve, and it's a soul evolutionary process. It's constantly challenging in a good way, like you're growing. But the best thing to do is just get out there and start, and then just see where it leads you. If we have a big plan, it never's going to turn out the way you think. And we're always ascending. There's always change. This is always evolving. We're in this ascension timeline, right? So if we can be in the flow of the change and the evolution, that's exactly what's going to happen with us. So there's no point in like really trying to have a plan. Just get out there with your story, the challenges you've already overcome, what you're working on yourself already. Like a lot of the programs and stuff I do are things that I'm doing for myself. So why not share that with the tribe, right? Why can't we, if we all say yes to it, then we're all gonna more quickly, including me, process through this thing that we need assistance with, right? So when we can do it together, it goes faster. So you don't even have to go through your own things alone. Share it with others. See who else needs this help, and go together. Find your soul family. We're all scattered on the earth, so they're not your neighbors, most likely.
And for sure, not your family.
Yeah, exactly, right. And you and I were like halfway across the world from each other, but we still connected here. It's so beautiful and amazing, and we can do that now, obviously, with the internet. So there's so many people out there that will need your help.
It's just amazing how we like find each other. Like, as I said, for me, I found you at the perfect moment, because I was just like really praying for a mentor, like an actual mentor, a good mentor. And you just showed up, and it's like, I wasn't even on Instagram. I have no idea how I found one of your posts. And it's just like, now it's like we're here, and it's just amazing how everything is just perfectly aligned. Everything.
Exactly.
And just how much trust this journey requires, right?
100%. Yeah, exactly. It's scary. I'm not going to lie. Like, I get scared all the time. And I have to regroup, get back to God, and just remember what I'm doing, showing up. And trust the plan. Yeah.
So you're redoing the program that you launched last year, the Shamanic God Code Healing. Do you want to share it, please?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we have everything I've learned with healing and shamanism and all of the initiations and training that I went through. I basically put it into a program, which is now a 12-week program. We're doing it this year. We're launching it September 22nd, and we're basically on a 12-week journey together, and I'm supporting you. And we actually have a 1-year container of support. To elevate you. It's a business program as well. So it's basically teaching you the tools. You already have everything you need to know within you, but we also help wake it up, show you more of what you actually do have within you, guide you on this process, and then teach you different ways of healing, whether it's through the energy body, through grid work, through the galaxy. There's just so many different components of the shamanic part, but it's all through God. The whole program is done through God. So we build that partnership with God, with you, build that connection. We focus on light language as well. We build the connection with Mother Earth and working with these energies, your spirit animal, stuff of that nature. So it's some traditional shamanism, but it's mostly for the 5D new earth. So everything's actually just like there's kind of that old Kundalini awakening, right? Same thing. There's kind of the traditional style shamanism, but this is more for the new earth. So it's to help facilitate you, your clients for this new age of Aquarius. So it's more a fifth dimensional way of learning everything so you can work with these energies for years to come, basically. And we also build the business component as well, just to help you, again, build the confidence. We clear the blocks that are holding you back, because it is very scary, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that was one of the parts that I really most enjoyed about the process, is like you're not just letting us, okay, go follow the program and you're on your own. It's like it's just very, very human. It's I obviously I felt like you were my mentor, but at the same time I really love the energy of like the community and the lives and just how free we were to share about our challenges. And that space was actually just magical to be in that space.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very grateful. Very beautiful community. It is an online private space as well. We do lives. There are virtual teachings as well. So we do a combination of both. And 1-year mentorship as well after. So I'm always here to help. And whatever blocks are showing up, I know within that group, we've targeted certain blocks that, people were experiencing. So we'll do that as well. There's always I'm here to help. Basically, I want to help facilitate, get you guys out there with gifts and start serving in this way. So it's great for, we even have some therapists joining us this year and stuff. So it's, if you're ready, like the age of Aquarius, I feel like will be more combining the medical and the spiritual together as well, and having more of an evolved medicine, let's say. So
wow.
Really welcome different professions if you just want to add this to your career, just working with spirit, tap in, being more intuitive. And answering the call.
That's exciting. Wow.
Yeah.
And also what I remember is that I remember that some were a little bit more advanced, some others were just beginners. It's for everyone, right?
Definitely. Yeah. For everybody. We're just quickly opening your channels, and we all have our own unique gifts and our own unique way of healing. There's no two of you alike, right? So it's interesting I always said, one client can go to all of you and receive something, even though we're all doing the same shamanic God code healing, you'll all benefit from each of you in different ways. So it's really interesting how unique we all are and what we can offer.
Yeah, just how much we can learn from each other for sure.
You were very motherly. You held space so well, very loving, very caring, very nurturing, just such a you hold such sacred space for your clients. I highly recommend, if you haven't had a session, have one with you, because you just leave feeling so loved and cared for. And you really want to help and support, and get everyone on this new timeline as well. So
thank you, Carolyn.
And hold space well.
And I 100% recommend your your journey. I want to call it a journey because it's not just a program. And obviously, for anyone who feels still like, oh, spiritual program, I don't know, Carolyn, she's not just as amazing as she's online and behind the scenes. She's like even more amazing. Like I was just so surprised by the program, and I'm just so grateful to
Thank you.
to have jumped on the occasion and to be here today. So
I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much for having me.